Good evening. How are you all doing tonight? We're off to a bad start here. Let me try this again, and I'm going to make it easier for you. I'm going to tell you the answer that you're to respond with when I ask you a question. Let's try this again. When I ask you, how are you doing tonight? Your response is, awesome. Alright, let's try this. How are you all doing tonight? Awesome. Let's try this again, only this time, let's take it from the heart. Speak from your heart. Shout it from your heart. How are you all doing tonight? Awesome. And how do you all feel about a new year? Awesome. And how do you feel about Jesus? Awesome. That's better. You see the difference between speaking it and speaking it from your heart. It is in the heart that all truth lies. That is why Jesus said, truth will set you free. So if we speak from the heart, that is where the truth lies. And our heart cannot deny the existence of God. Our heart cannot deny who we are. The truth shall set us free. And nothing can bind us. Nothing can hold us captive. When we are living in honesty, when we are living in truth, the devil can't touch us. No matter how much he may try to come against us, the devil cannot touch you when you're living in truth. When you're living honestly in the heart. When you love God with all your heart. When you're using the gifts that he gave you with all your heart. When you're living fearlessly like a warrior, rather than scared like a duck. The devil cannot touch you, that he can have no power over you. The devil only has power when you give him power. But if you're walking in the heart, when you're loving life and loving God with your heart, there's no room for the devil, because the devil cannot exist where love exists. The devil can only exist when there's fear and anger and hatred and worry and doubt. But love and truth, cast him out. There's no room for him to exist. And no matter how hard he tries to come against you, when you stand in God's word, when you love him with all your heart, and you're honoring him with all the gifts that he's given you, the devil will never win. He will always be defeated. And I'm here tonight to tell you a story, a testimony of how the devil tried to defeat me and take away a gift that God had given me. But God is so great, he turned it into one of my greatest testimonies, rather than a victim story. 10 years ago, I was painting murals in Boston, and I was working on a mural overhead, on a ceiling. And I was working 10 to 14 hours a day on it, trying to get it done. And I destroyed my shoulders, especially my right shoulder. I could not get my stick shift car into gear. It was so badly damaged. I could not button my shirts. I could not get a glass out of the cupboards. And for the next couple years, I went through physical therapy. I went through acupuncture. Notice I'm saying I tried changing my diet to include salmon, garlic, the pineapple and bromelain. All these are said to have anti-inflammatory properties. But nothing healed my shoulders. They progressed to get worse and worse, until finally I found myself with an arm that just lay by my side, and my hand that had no feeling in it. My arm was not even in its socket. At night I would wake up in the middle of the night crying, because it felt like somebody had stuck a serrated knife into my socket and was twisting it and turning it, and the pain was unbearable. I didn't know where to turn anymore. And I knew God existed, but I never gave him the chance to heal me. So I went to the doctor. And the doctor looked at my arms. And I told her the story about my right arm and how I had tried to take over everything with my left arm, but now my left arm was injured too because I used it too much. And she said, "You're never going to paint again. Find a new career. Your career is over. You're going to have to get retrained in something like computers or something where you don't need your arms." And I thought she was joking. I knew this was bad, but I also knew it could be fixed. So I went to another doctor, and she said, "I concur with the last doctor's diagnosis. You're never going to paint again. This arm isn't even in its socket. The scar tissue has pinched off the nerves and the blood supply." And she sent me to a surgeon. And the surgeon took x-rays. And he put them on the light table, and he said, "I can't believe you can even still use that arm at all." He said, "There's no blood supply getting there. The nerves are pinched off." He said, "If I don't do surgery soon, I'm going to be amputating it." And I said, "What are the chances of recovery after the surgery, of getting my arms back?" And he said, "Maybe 50% if the surgery goes well." And I walked out of there in shock. 50% at best to ever use my arms again. And I was only in my 20s. I couldn't take that sentence. I had been so athletic and so active, I thought I'd rather be dead than to be handicapped. And so I came home, and I finally cried out to God, and I said, "Lord, why did you take my shoulders away when you gave me this gift of painting?" And the Lord said, "Will you paint with your mouth for me?" And to be very honest with you, I couldn't answer him. The next day, a little black boy came to our door, selling calendars to raise money. They're calendars of people that paint with their mouths and their feet. I don't know how many calendars I bought. I know I bought 2 or 3. And the little boy asked me, he said, "Ma'am, do you mind I ask you one personal question? What did you do to be able to afford to live in such a wealthy neighborhood, in such a beautiful home?" And my heart melted for the child. He was from the projects. And I said, "Son, I had a dream, and I hung on to it, and I never let it go, and I honored it." And I said, "And you can do the same thing too. Just don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Don't let them stop you." And he said, "What did you do?" And I said, "I was an artist." And he said, "Can I see your artwork?" And so I brought him out in the garage where I had old artwork from my school days. And I opened up the boxes and I let him go through. And I said, "Choose your favorite piece and hang it on your wall. And when you look at that, remember your dream. Don't ever quit. Know that if I made it, you can make it too." And that little boy came on fire. And he told me his dream was to be a fireman. And he ran down the street with this painting. And 2 minutes later, there was a knock on my door, and the father was angry. He said, "My son stole this from you, and I'm very sorry. I'm trying to teach him a better life." And I told the father, I said, "No, I gave it to him." And I said, "I want him to have a better life too." And he said, "Well, he can't accept this painting." And I said, "You don't understand. I cannot take that painting away from him now. It means too much to him. That painting is more than paint and paper. It's a dream now, and your child needs that." And I refused to take it from him.